Hi there, I don't normally do movie reviews, but I mentioned in my last video I'm really upset that Omicron shut down everyone all over again. We were getting ready to get out of COVID lockdown. And then Omicron came first week of December, and I didn't go to any movies, and I really felt like I missed out and was behind on the world, that everyone was talking about Spider-Man 3 but me, that I managed to remain totally unspoiled until I saw it last night. I mean, you could say I got spoiled that people were talking about, yes, Toby and Andrew are in it, but I had already been convinced they'd be in it, so that wasn't a surprise. I was kind of surprised at how much they were in it. I thought they'd be cameos. I didn't realize they were in like half of the movie. What did I think of it? It is one of the better Marvel movies. I'm keeping this really short just to I give my followers. This exists to give my followers a chance to talk about it in the comments. This is some of the best acting we've ever seen, probably the best acting from this specific cast of characters. From the Holland's Spider-Man, from Zendaya's MJ, from Ned. We got to see Daredevil, we got to see good material. It wasn't just cameo stuff. From Andrew and Toby, and from their villains, which felt in character, that it was great acting all around. And of course from Aunt May and Mr. Tomei. Everyone got something to do, but this is a thing I point out, that when you have an ensemble movie, it's less character focused than a standalone movie. Like Black Widow, at least tried to have more character focus versus like Avengers Infinity War. It's a different kind of movie. That this was an ensemble movie compared to Far From Home when he's fighting Mysterio. I prefer the character focused ones, but I like the ensemble ones that just they manage. It's not like it took time away from Holland. He got time to have really good moments. It's just there was a lot to cram into it. Wasn't as good as Infinity War Endgame. That is not a criticism. That's something that took 10 years to make, and which relied on 10 years worth of other movies. I still think it approached Endgame and Infinity in quality. It wasn't meant to advance the Tom Holland Spider-Man so much as be a love letter to the franchise of the other ones, but passing the torch and moving forward. Again, not a criticism. That's what they set out to do, and they did it very well. In terms of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, this movie was a gut punch, of course. Not just from, okay, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this, not just from losing Aunt May, but that the spell at the end makes everyone in the world forget who Peter Parker is, including his closest friends and his girlfriend. I guess the distinction is that they do make clear that everyone remembers Spider-Man, but anyone in his personal life that didn't even know, even people who didn't know he was Spider-Man don't know who Peter Parker is now. That he is a complete stranger to the world, and you see at the end they play triumphant music that he's going off being Spider-Man, but he's moved into a new apartment. It's a new phase in his life. I guess I should be thankful in a certain respect that as a comics fan, for years there's been the criticism that they never let comic book characters who are young grow up. Now, the original Avengers team was pretty much adults. They didn't advance that much. You wouldn't expect that, but that Peter Parker is the perennial teenager, and infamously One More Day, which loosely inspired this, dialed back that he got married because the status quo is God. So they did, advance that he's not in high school anymore as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, that he's not living with Aunt May anymore, he's living on his own. We do know there's going to be more Spider-Man projects after this. Probably, he's going to do Avengers movies for a while and crossovers. So at least because it's a living, ongoing cinematic universe, they will be continuing, letting his story progress. But we are at a very low point now, and this was not a triumphant ending. Even if it arguably was for his values and for the other Spider-Man, but for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I'm trying to put this into words. As the end of this Spider-Man trilogy, this is sort of like Captain America 3, where it ends at a very dark point, and it was well done. but it was meant to leave the team broken and at a very dark point. Now, I'm actually seeing a lot of parallels to Captain America 3 now with Civil War, which ironically was the first movie he was in. But this ended with him in a very dark place and had a very downer ending. It was meant to, it's his story arc and a lot of his dealing with, like, the loss of Uncle Ben or Aunt May, that he has tragedy in his life. That this needed to happen to be true to the character, I don't question that. I don't question their writing decisions on this, that this was executed very well for a dark storyline that they needed to do to advance the character into an uncertain future. And not just that it's dark and that people die, but just how uncertain his future is now. That what happens now and the unknown and everything is deeply upsetting. And again, they make it look easy to juggle this many characters in a crossover movie. And they actually did it really well and gave everyone a little character moment to shine in. But fundamentally, this was a very well-made movie for a downer ending to a trilogy that they knew would end this way. They executed it very well. That in terms of what the story deserved, the story got what it deserved, but not the story that the audience needs right now. That, just everything's so bleak because of the Omicron variant of COVID going around, and just right in time for Spider-Man. There was I didn't see this in theaters for months when I did not brave the Omicron spike, because I said in another video, week before this happened, my sister's godmother got COVID, Omicron, and she got better because it's mild, and my godmother's children got it, and they're adults, and we freaked out. We can't go to movies now. Everyone's getting Omicron. It's milder, but it's so infectious. That this was supposed to be the triumphant winter where things have turned back to normal because of COVID by fall 2021, and then there was another spike in it because people aren't taking enough vaccines or masking up or whatever, that it's still spreading, and we need to people need to actually get with the program. And maybe it would have spiked regardless. It certainly didn't help, but this was not the feel-good, triumphant, looking ahead to the future movie that I needed. And a lot of people needed at this point in time. It wasn't meant to be, and I don't hold that against it. It's like, imagine if Captain America Civil War came out this Christmas. It would have not been an encouraging thing. And even that even Civil War introduced Black Panther and introduced Spider-Man. That introduced new characters. This was the closing chapter of the Homecoming trilogy, and maybe they'll do more later, but I think Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness will open up a lot of new possibilities. I'm looking for beginning things, not ending things right now. But Phase 4 overall of the Marvel Universe so far hasn't really expanded that much yet. Like Loki did expand it significantly, similarly when doing the multiverse stuff with the TVA and all that. That's why that was interesting, that we're setting up the new big arc villain. I'm actually behind on some of the other TV shows that I didn't actually watch Hawkeye this Christmas, even though, the whole point is it's on TV at home. And I have to catch up on Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I actually wanted to watch. It's relatively short. I have to watch both of those to catch up. I'm like halfway through What If. But, like, Matrix Resurrections came out the same time as this because they're greedy, and HBO wanted to get a bigger subscriber bump. And while Matrix Resurrections starts really bleak and depressing, they kind of find meaning halfway through, and it ends triumphantly. To the point that, obviously a lot of people didn't watch it, but of the fans who watched it and loved it, they said you get the feeling that they're kind of hopeful for other spin-offs after this. Maybe not direct sequence movies, but maybe TV shows or cartoons or whatever. That it felt like this triumphant ending that was, there's adventure ahead of us. Spider-Man No Way Home did not feel like that the adventure continues and that we're looking ahead to the future, even with that triumphant ending of him swinging away like Spider-Man that they do at the end of every movie. This was a pretty dark place, and I'm really interested in where they're going with Spider-Man after this. This raised so many questions for... This movie was a gut punch, and it was meant to be. And now what do we do? So I don't normally review movies and stuff. Just this tied into my whole... I felt like life has been on pause since the week after Thanksgiving in America. When Omicron, first week of December, I was going to go and see other movies, shut everything down. And I'm trying to will myself into action again, starting with, symbolically, that I missed Spider-Man 3, and now I caught up with the world. That everyone was talking about it. I managed to stay spoiler-free. I did not know they were going to erase everyone's memory. Or I thought there might be a loophole or something, because I knew they were playing with the spell from the trailers that people will forget him. Did not think they were going to go that way. Well, I had my fears, but nothing certain. And, I could tell, even with no spoilers, that, come on, the other Spider-Man are going to be in this to some extent. Didn't think that much. But I just have to think forward to what are the other big movies after. Tell me in the comments, what are other big movies that you're looking forward to this year? Because I'm not into, like, the Jurassic Park stuff. Didn't excite me. The Batman movie with Pattinson actually looks very interesting, like they get the character. Finally going to get a Riddler that does justice to the comics. That, he's this scary, taunting, serial killer mastermind type. And Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Thor 4 is coming out. I have to see Shang-Chi, actually. A family member saw it and said it was really good. The only reason I missed that was due to time. I was busy at the time, but I wanted to see it. And like I said, I want to see every major installment with the Marvel series. So I gotta watch Shang-Chi, I gotta watch Falcon, and I have to watch Hawkeye relatively soon, because I can't both be complaining there is nothing new out, and, well, I don't have time to marathon all that stuff. I'll try to balance this. So that's where things are right now, and I don't know if I ever go out to another movie or something, I might make a short review, because I'm not a Marvel expert. Like, this is a Game of Thrones channel. It's just, sometimes my fans ask, well, what, conversationally, just as a person, what are your views on that? And in my non-expert opinion, these were the emotions I had watching it. And I don't know what's going to happen now.